All right, so welcome back to another One Piece card game video, and today we're going to talk about the red purple law. And I know there's a lot of doom and gloom because of the new ban list right out of the box. If you haven't checked out, of course, my ultimate deck breakdown video, everything that you need to know, definitely go check that out. But that does include the one drop Nami that just got banned, and ironically enough, I filmed that right before the ban list came out and I was pretty annoyed. Either way, what we have to do now is revisit all of my deck lists, including this one, and see what works for these brand new leaders. Moving past the ban, there are still a bunch of cool cards that come out of the ultimate deck. This leader, the red purple law, is probably the best one. So if you haven't seen him, what he does is that he has an activate main, you -3 Dawn, and then you can return one of your opponent's character cards of 3k power or less back to the bottom of their deck, which is super powerful because there's a lot of on KO effects that you have to watch out for. And you know, obviously because this is red, you can combine a lot of those things in red to reduce the cost, or the power I should say, and then play a 4 or less character card from your hand afterwards. And there's a pretty good amount of those. But first, let's talk about the 4 drops that matter. I think one obvious one is going to be Brook. Brook pretty much is an attacker throughout the entire game that can enable your leader effect that can get rid of pretty much anything that is 5k or less with his attack. So basically what happens is that you use Brook in tandem with other things like Otama, and then you can just take down a lot of high power threats. Other 4 drops include Atmos, because we are playing Whitebeard Pirates. He is just good on curve. Like usually I just play him turn 2 going second, because I think you want to go second in this deck as well, and then he just kind of sits there, and that's awesome. He's just a good 4/6. He can be played off of the leader effect, and it's just something to swing with every turn, or them swinging at it, them targeting it, so that way your 4 life total is not being in vain. We have obviously Jozu. You don't really play this guy. He doesn't get rushed with your leader. He's only a 4k as well, you know, that type of thing, but he is searchable, and he is a target in a pinch. So if you know that you need another body for the following turn, you're gonna play Jozu and not really care about it. We have Marco as well, the one of, which unfortunately the 5 drop is a one of as well. That's just annoying, but you know, Marco would have been a great addition at a 4 playset for this deck, because it's always a really good target, being at 2 or less, being a multicolored leader, being at starting at 4. You're going to take those two cards no matter what anyway, so Marco is going to be a really good target to be played with your leader. No sense about it. He's just a good blocker, and it's nice to have some counter power in hand as well in a pinch, right? Sachi and Penguin, and as well as Beppo, are the things that actually help you get your Dawn back. There's more things in OP05. There's also Gene Bart that you can use as well. I particularly didn't really like him. I think he's great. He is a 4 cost. He is a 5k. You can play it for 1 after you use a leader effect, so you can just -1, use it at Falling Dawn afterwards, that type of thing. You know, there's great things about Gene Bart. I just felt like he wasn't all that great as far as utility goes. He just became a 5k attacker that just gave you an extra Dawn. Basically your leader effect is just 2 instead of 3. If you can find room for him, and maybe an OP05 where you can play more heart pirate stuff, then maybe, yeah, that's going to be the move. Not to mention, again, with OP05, you do get the 5 drop Kid that restores your Dawn as you minus. You do have the 3 cost Law that also searches pretty much everything that you need for heart pirates, and you can just kind of pivot to that instead of the Whitebeard stuff instead. Speaking of the 4 cost Law, so it's my favorite card out of the ultimate deck. It's probably going to be the best card for purple decks in general. It is a 4 cost blocker. On play, you -1 Dawn, and then if your opponent has 7 or more cards in hand, you get to trash 2 of them, which is basically a mini Issho. It is going to be the thing that wraps around, or wraps your 4 costs in general, and it's just a great card in general. Like you just really want to play this at 4. and it is something that your opponent sometimes can't even play around. Like most of the time, if you're being very aggressive, or if they just keep drawing cards off of searchers or whatever it may be, sometimes they even forget, like, oh, I have 7, I have nothing to do, I can't do anything about it. If you play this as the first thing on your turn, then this is just going to be a wrap for them, for those 2 cards. And it feels good to also do a play where you -4, you get 2 things out of their hand, you use a Gordon or something like that, and you -3 Dawn, and then you play something. You can play another blocker if you wanted to, or another body, and you know, that's the whole point of this deck. You really fill up the board, and as well as minusing their characters over time. Speaking of, let's move on to the stuff that minuses things. So outside of Brook, you have Otama, right? Otama basically says with Brook, and as well as other things in general with your leader, it basically says any of your 2Ks or 5Ks, I should say, gets -2K'd, and then you can use your leader effect. You know, that's really good for, you know, against blue, if you're going against a blue Croc or Dofi or something like that. Then you can just take care of their Bahamlus, their Dofi blockers, things like that are really the best targets for it. And then we also have Ace. So I wasn't a big fan of Ace, right? I really didn't like him in this deck because it's just a 7 cost in which you keep minusing your Dawn, right, over time, and you have to use Beppo, you have to use Sachi, you have to use other stuff in purple to get that Dawn back, and it felt kind of bad to wait until 7 to get Ace out. But what really happened was that with Ace, it just becomes where you can use Ace's ability, forget the rush, obviously, -3, get rid of something that has 6, and then swing it to something else, and then play a 4 cost afterwards, and then just go to 6 Dawn the following turn, and pretty much everything else in your deck is playable. So, you know, it's not that big of a deal. You have a 7K body. It's kind of hard to get rid of outside of like Gumrock or something like that, or you know, a similar deck like Law. So it is also searchable by Izu. So like, you know, it just works out in general. And then finally we have Round Table, which is really just for yellow, right? Like yellow and sometimes blue, sometimes green, right? They all have bigger threats late game, and if you haven't finished the game by then, it really is pivotal to use Round Table, because Round Table just gets rid of everything, right? Round Table says -10K, and then I use my leader effect, I get a 4K out of it, and you get your big body that you paid a lot of Dawn for out of here. Because they're going back to the bottom of the deck, you're probably not going to see it. It's not getting, you know, it's not getting KO'd for Rebecca or for Rob Lucci or something like that. It's not getting set back to hand if you're a blue deck, right? You know, Round Table says no to everything, which is fantastic. And the last few event cards are going to be the one of Radical Beam. It's really hard to say no to a 1 cost 4K. You know, it is a 1 of. It's like whatever. You're really not going to be using too many event cards in your hand as for defense in this deck, at least from what I've seen. And then guard point is kind of the same thing. It's a bummer that we don't have the 1 cost Nami to search all of this, right? We have all these straw hat targets along with these event cards, and we can't search them. So you sort of just have to draw them. It's not too big of a deal. If you have it, you have it. If you don't, you don't. Sort of just ruins the consistency of it, and you just have to sort of accept it. Now, if you skipped all of that, as far as the breakdown, here is the deck list. And again, a lot of playsets and the things that you need. It's no frills, no craziness in this deck, and it's updated for the post ban prior to OP05, and I'm going to be updating this deck list in OP05 very obviously. That's going to be a whole separate other video, but if you're going to be playing this post Pasadena, and as well as for your locals, or if you just want to learn the deck before OP05 comes out, I think this is a really good start for that. And let me know what you think. In conclusion, I think really, if you want to play a Law, or if you want to play a deck that minuses, that gets rid of things pretty easily, that has constant board states throughout the entire game, and is really just a great tempo deck, then this is the deck for you. Now, the downsides of this is that, you know, you have to have your Dawn management on point. You know, minusing things throughout the entire game really is detrimental. You really have to get used to making sure that you are using and being aware of your Beppos and your Sachis or whatever else that you might put in this deck. And then also you have to be aware of that later on, because you are playing so many cards from your hand, and then just in general, you're gonna have a pretty a small hand size, right? So you just have to be conscious about that. And if you want to throw in things that enable you later on in the deck, like guild or something like that, then this might be that might be a good option. But I personally like having the consistency to remove things, and as well as just to put bodies on board. That's pretty much it. Let's get into the gameplay. All right, we're gonna start out with the game against Issho, and one of my favorite leaders out of OP04, of course, next to Vivi now. And I think people are definitely exploring more and more different leaders. And the cool thing about going against black as this leader is that basically the Borsalinos and the 3 costs can't be KO'd blockers, those type of decks or cards are not going to be very important, or like things you have to worry about. We did start out with a Zoro because we're going first. There wasn't really too many things that we could actually do, and because of that, we just swung with leader Zoro and playing out this this Brook, which immediately also got removed. Well, that's pretty annoying, but it is what it is. Cool thing about this is that now we're gonna play Ace on curve. We're gonna force him to block, and basically what that does is that, hey, you can block with your Law, or you can just counter out of this attack. If you block with your Law, because you're gonna lose it anyway, then I get to remove the Kobe, which ended up attacking, which is also annoying. But he's running out of hand size. He has the X-Drake out. We have a 7K swing going at the face. And I think what we're going to do is just play out the Marco. I was definitely deciding if I want to Jozu or not here, but I said, no, it's okay. And we're going to go ahead and keep swinging. He can, especially with that Izu, end it here with that X-Drake giving the buff of everything. That's where that extra 2K and Jozu really came in. That's why I didn't do that. I was like, if he tries to go for game here, which he can with the amount of bodies he has, it's going to be a problem. But he basically folded here, even though we have no Dawn to use. That's the other thing you have to keep worrying about, where you just kind of run out of Dawn, right? You can Punk Gibson here. You can Spiderweb, I guess, but didn't really do too much. And then we can just swing here. And I tried to type in GG, but it should be obvious that people want to click the disconnect button as soon as possible. But overall, pretty quick game. I just kept swinging face for 7s and kept removing anything that he put out. And any of the blockers, basically, again, are null and void against black. All right, next up is going to be Rebecca, which is going to be a pretty interesting matchup. I got to choose to go first or second. I personally like going second in this deck, and this hand doesn't look too bad. You really do want to open a Gordon. I always put it on people, they can't remove it, but I always forgot that Rebecca can just easily Leo it, and he immediately did. So I went ahead and took the L on that one. Don't play Gordon first turn. Even if it is semi Dawn efficient against most matchups going first. So I went ahead and did that. He immediately KO'd my Zoro. I said, that's fine. I don't really have too much to do here because he removed my Zoro. Zoro was pretty much the guy doing the heavy lifting here. So that went ahead and got KO'd again. I went ahead and swung 9. I want to do as much damage as I can. I have 2 aces in hand. Again, one of the things I talked about in the video is that, like, I didn't like ace at first because it was just one of the I have 3 now. It was just one of those things where I'm like, okay, I can't do anything with these. So it just felt bad. And now it is also awkward because you are going -3 without that new card in OP05. You can't recover that 1 Dawn being minused. So you're going to 6. I can't use an ace unless I draw something this following turn. So I do have a Sachi, which is pretty cool. I have a 9K swing. I can do a 9K swing again, and just make sure that I'm just aggressive as possible. And you know, I don't really want to minus Don here because I have 2 aces. But I went ahead and did it anyway because I was at 6. I minus 3. Sachi says you gain 2 going down to 3 or less Dawn, and just sort of worked out. I was just going to be at the same amount of Dawn next turn anyway. So not too bad, not too shabby. He is deciding what to do here. I have double Otama in hand, which can get rid of this this Luffy if I really wanted to. But I don't think I'm going to do that. He's going to restand the Luffy, but we will see. He's going to go ahead and swing, which I can't really do anything about. I am going to go ahead and play out the Marco, or one of. Drawing pretty lucky right now. And this is a 4K Luffy. I'm not going to be able to take game unless it's dead and it's completely dead. I didn't understand this one. I did not know why he let the Luffy die. You definitely should keep that Luffy alive. You can swing into the Marco and then you can swing back into my face. Especially if you have King Kong. You're not going to win the game, but at least you're going to do some damage. Knowing that I have these two aces, you know, maybe that's why he let it go, but he went ahead and just conceded and disconnected. I was very confused about that, but hey, we take the W after the W, because honestly, what happens in this matchup is that, you know, they're gonna remove everything that they can. They didn't play a Bart, so that's a huge win for us. If they did play Bart, these aces are gone. You know, all of these other threats I can put out are definitely gone. That blocker definitely went away with 3000 Worlds. The other event card KO'd my Zoro. So it's just like, you know, the things that you have to keep in mind is that, hey, you're going to be building a board, but they have to be faster than you building it. So it's just one of those things you have to worry about as Rebecca. All right, next up and last up is going to be Vivi. And you might be wondering, hey, where are the other decks? You know, where's Kinemon? Where's Law? Where's the other one? Well, I'm going to let you know now, outside of Katakuri, which this deck can go against for sure against Katakuri. It's pretty quick. You can do a lot of damage, a lot of swings, and it can remove things without really hassling itself to, you know, the things that it does play out. You know, the 4/6s, the 6/8s, the Paro, all the things that they put out as Katakuri, you know, Law can get rid of pretty easily. The only thing that you have to worry about is Big Mom. Now, not for nothing, you know, Vivi itself, I love Vivi a lot. I think it's a deck that people should not sleep on. Same thing for Issho, same thing for Rebecca, right? Those are Rebecca kind of just lost his best matchup in red, so you know, this is one of those things. But we'll see as we go on into this new ban list meta, what decks are the best. So for those who are wondering, hey, why are we showcasing these other decks? Well, that's why we don't know what's good just yet, and that's the best thing. This is the beauty about the beauty of, you know, these new decks basically, or this new format. So we're gonna go ahead and go first. I was very tempted to play the Beppo here, but I decided not to. So I think I'm just gonna play the Brook next, swing with my leader afterwards, and then play the Beppo, and then just kind of go from there. He did play the Chopper, which we'll see. I decided not to, just because we have 2 whole aces in hand. So I'm gonna end to play the Chaka to get rid of my Izu, which is fine. We're gonna get rid of that for sure. We're gonna get rid of the Chaka for sure, so we don't have to worry about it. The Chopper is whatever. We could have swung into the Chopper or the Chaka after we minused. You know, being a 2K, it's gonna be a block and either a lot of cards or dead, basically. Immediately gum rocks my my ace, which is pretty annoying, I gotta tell you, because I gotta wait another turn to play the next ace. So yeah, I think what we're gonna do is oh, I miscounted. I don't have to play, or I don't have to wait. I forgot that I had the Beppo, which is why it's really good. So we have 3 or 4, well, yeah, 3 4K bodies. Wait, yeah, okay, we had 7K body, 3K body, etc. We have the Gordon, we -3 the Mihawk. We have the other Brook, which are swinging at 7. Any of the bigger threats that Vivi is pushing out as Mihawk and others like King and things like that, we're just swinging. We're just swinging, and we're gonna go ahead and minus the Don no matter what, and play the other Beppo. Like we are all cylinders for these 4-drops and things like that. And against something like Vivi, it's very easy to start, you know, trying to fill the board and swing as much as possible. I personally think that you should have swung at the Beppo because it just enables me to do literally everything that I wanted to do. And we're just going to continue to do what we were doing before, which is swinging minus, and maybe play this blocker or keep 2 up for this guard point. Got rid of the blocker immediately. We took the L on the extra Dawn being active. We're gonna swing here and get 2 Dawn as well. 2 or 1 more swing, which his hand doesn't look like or sounds like it's all that great. And then we're gonna have 2 up for the guard point in case he does something sneaky. And then to end the game, basically, he was just saying that the deck is nuts, and me agreeing with him. But he is just going through the motions of me swinging here for 10, another 5, and we're going to say GG after that. But hey, I really do hope you guys enjoyed this match or these matches. But if you want to see more gameplay with this deck and others, definitely follow me on Twitch. I've been streaming a good amount, actually. I'm probably streaming right now. So go ahead and follow me there, and as well as check out any other gameplay. Maybe even play against me. Who knows? But I'll see you in the next one. Later.